welcome to a new episode. With you is Leanda Manhouri, and today I'd like to talk about an interesting topic about online anonymity. Now I'm going to start with some facts. 67% of users in Saudi Arabia are between the ages of 15 and 29. So youth in the Middle East in general are very active on the internet. 75% of users in the Middle East are youth. There's a 74% of internet users penetration in Saudi Arabia, with over 24 million users. Now, the statistics say that 30% of users in Saudi Arabia are female. However, when it comes to blogging, the ratio is almost equal, almost 50-50. And the research, according to an article called Veiling and Blogging in the Journal of International Women's Studies, say that the reason is because of the concealing of one's identity online. I'd like to talk more about this issue and more about online anonymity with our guest today, Dana Zohair. She's the student ambassador of the Digital Culture Program at King's College in London. So Dana, welcome.
Hi.
So I'd like to start with the definition of online anonymity.
Online anonymity is the concealing of one's identity or using different names such as pseudonyms or nicknames, for example.
All right, and with the beginning of internet and in the past, how has this concept changed over time, and how has it changed to what it is today?
So when the internet came out approximately in the 90s, the internet was seen as a place to separate your online from your offline life. And actually, anonymity was quite common and quite expected because it was a place where people would be more comfortable to experiment different identities. But nowadays, this case has changed. We have personalized devices with our own IP addresses, our own global unique identifiers, which are basically the digital footprints or traces that we are leaving online. So for example, with the rise of social networks nowadays, we end up putting our personal data online, including name, age, location, and so on. And when we're using these social networks, we are also agreeing to the terms and conditions, which means that we are allowing internet companies to take our personal data, transfer it, and maybe even sell it to third parties. So these are just a few examples of how the case has changed.
Okay, so why has it changed this way?
Firstly, we are relying on technology heavily nowadays because of convenience. So when you have everything recorded, you can always go back to something. But at the same time, there's always an economic benefit. When you have tailored advertisements that are appearing on your Facebook page, it's not a coincidence. Actually, your profile is being studied by several companies and being transferred and put into different databases. And at the same time, we have the Internet of Things, which is when our devices are all being connected into one network. So using cloud computing, our data is being transferred between devices through these different platforms.
Can you really be anonymous online today?
I can tell you that it is very difficult to be anonymous online nowadays because, first of all, our data has been produced in massive data sets and it is becoming recordable and analyzable. So, for example, with big data, and some of that data is born digital data, which means that some of it has never been analog before. So I'll give you an example. When you're using Google Maps, when you're enabling your location services, you are having all these digital traces on your mobile device. Or when we are casually using Snapchat face filters, these face filters have facial recognition software, which is basically us leaving a face print for Snapchat's database. So these are just a few examples of how we can become very easily traced nowadays.
So it's interesting, but at the same time, kind of worrying because the internet has become a prominent part of our lives. And whereas in the past, maybe 10 years ago, you can actually separate your virtual identity and your real identity, and then the virtual world and the real world are now more converging. So the gap is narrowing more and more. So thanks for sharing this interesting insight with us.
Thank you for having me.
So thanks for watching this episode, and let us know your thoughts and comments about this topic. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you in another episode.